So there are a lot of things going on in the life insurance space right now, especially around the infinite banking concept. Now, infinite banking is simply a marketing term utilized for high cash value life insurance. There's a lot of misunderstandings about it. There's a lot of bad marketing tactics going on around infinite banking, the concept, things like perpetual positive arbitrage, the things like you can utilize index universal life for infinite banking, all those things. We're gonna get into that and more. What I did is I interviewed Bobby Samuelson, and in this video, I'm taking a clip of that interview and talking about his perspective on infinite banking. And if you haven't checked it out, he wrote a great blog on infinite banking on his blog, Life Product Review. You should go check it out. Speaking of checking it out, if you haven't already, make sure you have subscribed to this channel. You click the bell, that way you're notified every time I launch a new video, because we got great content coming out. And I'm really excited to get into this. I've been wanting to talk to Bobby about this for a long time now, for probably the last 3 months. So I'm excited to share it with you. Let's get into it. What's going on, Cashflow hackers? It's Chris with Life 180, and I'm here with Bobby Samuelson from Life Product Review. We're going to get into all sorts of fun stuff, talking about infinite banking, talking about the current state of the IUL market, talking about like all this fun stuff. I'm sure we'll go off on a couple tangents, but if you don't know who Bobby is, I personally believe, and maybe I'm biased, but I personally believe he is pretty much the best mind in the business when it comes to like really breaking down product reviews and doing an unbiased assessment and analysis of all these different sales strategies and product reviews and all these different things. I'm a firm believer, anybody who is in this business trying to represent it, and you know, you have a responsibility to know your products that you're selling, to know the industry inside and out. And I just think that the Life Product Review blog that Bobby writes is the best resource on the internet for really understanding all the ins and outs of all this stuff. And so, yeah, Bobby, I just want to thank you, because like, honestly, guys, like a lot of the stuff that I get, like I read a lot of his stuff, and then I take my education, you know, down further paths, but like you do so much awesomeness. I just want to thank you and tell everybody, like, literally, it's the best. What is it? $99 a month.
Yeah, $99 a month. Yeah,
guys, it's the best. If you're in this business and you consider yourself a professional, and I have nothing to gain from this, right? Like I'm just telling you, because the thing I stand to gain is that you'll be more educated, and the industry will benefit from you being better at what you do. So, you know, I would say go to Life Product Review and subscribe. So, Bobby, let's have some fun.
Yeah.
So, you did a blog. Speaking of your blog, you did a blog about, well, I don't know, like 2 months ago now, and it was talking about the infinite banking concept and some of like the misleading components of it, some of the misunderstandings, and kind of where it's right and where it's wrong or whatever. Can you kind of like maybe give a little summary of that and kind of what your thoughts are as a whole of the infinite banking concept right now? Like maybe what the problems are, some of the bad marketing, the good marketing, all the above.
Oh man. Yeah. First of all, thanks for all the kind words. And I'll say I thought about writing about infinite banking for a long time, and specifically chose not to do it because I knew what a hot topic it was. And I know that you have a lot of subscribers who either, you know, get mad at you because you don't fully endorse the infinite banking concept, but you do take parts of it. And so, you know, you and I talked about it a little bit. But for me, it kind of got to a fever pitch where I had a lot of people starting to ask me, you know, what do you think about infinite banking? So I did what I usually do if there's something that I feel like I'm not an expert in, but I've seen, you know, I go call people who I think are experts. So talk to you a little bit, talk to a lot of other people. I watched like everything on the infinite banking concept website, read anything I could find on the internet, talked to a couple of product development folks and, you know, underwriting folks at companies that take a lot of IBC business to kind of understand what they've seen, not just in terms of sales practices, but also in terms of admin for the policies, issues down the road with enforced contracts. So I felt like I did probably more research than usual into an article because I knew how controversial it was.
Totally.
And you know, the other thing is, you know, when I write an article, I'm trying to tell a story. And it's one thing to go out and just bash infinite banking or support it completely. And I don't think either of those with infinite banking are the right response. And so the way that I structured my article was really kind of saying, look, there's a core idea behind infinite banking that is absolutely sound. It makes total and complete sense. And then as you kind of step down and get further away from the core idea, that's where things get a little bit strange. And so, and that's what I saw in a lot of the material too. I'd watch the YouTube videos and the TikTok stuff and whatever. And it was very clear to me that they're all, there is a core of truth and a core of goodness in all this stuff, but then people kind of push it too far. So I'd say, let's forget the term infinite banking for a second and just talk about what it actually is, right? It's just taking loans from a life insurance policy. Loans are magical. I mean, loans are fantastic. You know how much they're going to cost. You don't have a bank that you're going to negotiate with, so you already know the terms of the loan before it happens. The cash is readily available. You can pay it back whenever you want to. It's not taxable. Policy loans are great, and policy loans in a lot of ways are magic. To me, where you kind of get into the IBC world is when people start thinking about using those loans on, I'll say, a more transactional basis. The idea behind policy loans is sort of a once in a while sort of thing. As you kind of move down the stack on IBC, it becomes a lot more than once in a while. It becomes more like a lifestyle thing. Be your own bank, And so I heard stories even from people saying that they would get agents who would tell clients they should, when they're doing a big celebratory dinner, they should take a loan from their policy to pay for the dinner. It's probably not what was really intended. And also insurance companies have a lot of trouble with the admin for that, right? If you're I heard about one policy where there are 99 policy loan transactions in a month on one policy. It's like, it's too much. So I think I think there's goodness in the loan idea. And then the idea of like, well, maybe too many transactions, too much stuff, kind of abusing the system a little bit. Okay. But then where I think it actually gets really problematic is when people start talking about the idea of taking a loan and always have your money compounding for you in the policy. Now that is true. But what they also seem to not talk about is the fact that the loan interest also compounds.
If you don't pay it.
And so I've seen these graphs where it's like, you see the compounding policy values, and then you see the loan balance being built up and taken down and down, and there's not interest being shown on that. And so it creates this perception that the equity in the policy will always increase. The equity in the policy only increases if there's an arbitrage between the cost of the loan and the crediting rate on the policy. And, that has been the case for the last 35 years because interest rates have been falling. That may not be the case. And in some cases, for some companies, it is already not the case. It's flipped the other direction. Right. And so if you as you kind of step down, you go, okay, so policy loans are good. Too many transactions, probably not good, but again, kind of neither here nor there. But this idea of taking loans and never having to pay for them and still building a growth in equity and always keep your money compounding, again, that's works in some environments that will not work in other environments. And then the last step, the one that's probably most concerning to me, is infinite banking sort of working its way into indexed UL, because indexed UL really doesn't work for infinite banking at all because the cost of the loan compared to the credit is going to swing around like crazy. At least if you're borrowing money from a whole life policy, even if you have an inversion between the cost of the loan and the policy credits, you're going to at least be able to see it coming. And you'll be able to understand its little differences. With IUL, you're hitting caps, you're hitting floors. And if you don't build in a lot of buffer of equity in the contract, you may end up accidentally lapsing your policy and having a big phantom income tax bill. So IUL to me is fundamentally incompatible with IBC because it's too volatile. And if it is going to be compatible with IBC and you're going to make it work, you have to leave a lot of equity in the policy that cannot be loaned in order to make sure you can ride out the 2 or 3 years where things don't go in your favor. And so again, kind of looking down the stack, it's like you can't paint IBC with this broad brush of saying it's bad or it's good. There are really good elements to it. There's some really powerful, I think, financial kind of foundational stuff that works great with life insurance. But as you push it too far, as it starts to make claims of perpetual arbitrage and building equity and all these sorts of things, that's where it gets to be problematic, because that may be true in certain environments and for certain period of times, but it is not always and forever true. And I think that's the way it's often positioned. And I don't think that's right.
Yeah, I just did a video on this, and actually the video was inspired by one of the blogs that I read from you. And in this, I because I'm a pretty visual guy, right? Like, so I got my board behind me and I basically drew out like the fixed interest rate environment, right? And the federal funds rate in like 1980 kind of going on this nosedive through 2009, right? And then kind of leveling out. And the bottom line is like dividend rates in the early 80s hit a crossover point where it became you could earn positive arbitrage because dividend rates will chase the fixed market, right? They kind of like they chase the tail. And so now what's happening is interest rates go up. There's the opposite. There's going to be this crossover point where they're going to chase them up. And positive arbitrage is almost going to be impossible at some point in time if rates keep going up. Is that a fair assessment?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we are already there for some products and some companies where the loan rates are higher than what the policy. So it's already happening.
Yeah. Even with non-direct recognition companies.
Especially with non-direct recognition companies. Right? I mean, this is the other irony, right? Like the thing about, so everybody loves non-direct recognition. It's one of the key things about IBC. And that works great in a falling rate environment. You do not want non-direct recognition in a rising rate environment because to your point, it's going to flip upside down. You'd be better off with having direct recognition where at least you know the cost of the loan and it's 25 basis points or 30 basis points or whatever.
Yep.
So yeah, non-direct recognition is a sword that cuts both ways. And it's cut one way for 35 years and it's about to cut the other way.
Yep. And companies, I think, will pivot and they're going to have to like make shit. I mean, they can change. I mean, there's companies that have changed, aren't there?
Yeah. There's no actuarial reason why you have to do one or the other. So for example, Mass Mutual offers both inside of its policies.
Yep.
There's no reason why other companies can't do that. That's a very logical approach. Yep. And, everybody goes for the non-direct recognition because it illustrated better, but now actually the direct recognition illustrates as well as that does, if not a little bit better right now. So it's, so that's my issue with infinite bank. Again, not the concept. The concept makes total sense. It's this idea of perpetual arbitrage, constantly building equity, and now this percolation over in IUL, which is too volatile of a product.
And that's a huge one. There are literally hundreds of thousands of IUL agents out there right now talking about the fact that IUL is a better vehicle for infinite banking. And I mean, there are influencers that I battle with on a daily basis that will tell you you're stupid if you use whole life for infinite banking and not IUL. Like literally that bold. And so anyway, so
we've seen this. Hey, look, we've seen this movie before. And what always happens is we get a few 0 years and those policies start blowing up. And, this happened pre-financial crisis too. People were doing the same thing with IUL and it doesn't work.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. What's up, Cashflow hackers? I hope you found value in that video with Bobby here. It was, in my opinion, I think it's a conversation that needs to be had. The power of utilizing properly structured whole life insurance is extremely, extremely impactful in people's lives. However, if it's misrepresented and people don't understand all the nuances and moving parts to it, some of that can lead to mismanagement, which can lead to financial problems. And so what should and can be one of the most powerful assets in your life can actually turn into a problem if you don't understand what you're getting involved with, which guess what, is no different than any other asset, any other investment on the face of the earth. That's why I always kind of tell people you should never put your money into anything you don't understand. So that's why I'm dedicating this channel, and that's why I'm spending so much time focused on just trying to educate how this stuff truly, truly works. So hopefully you found value in that. Go check out his blog. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel, that you hit the bell, that way you're notified every time I launch a new video. And if you want to learn more about infinite banking, check out the playlist right here. And hopefully you find value in it and it'll help your practice or to help you make a better educated decision on how to get a policy for yourself. If you're questioning what to do and you want to talk to somebody, go down in the link in the description below. We're happy to have a conversation with you and see what a properly designed life insurance policy can be utilized like in your life, how to do it for you. And so you could see it in your specific situations and see how it will integrate and interface with the rest of your financial life. Have a blessed, inspirational day. We'll talk soon.